Antarctica is a wholly unique place politically. No one owns the continent. It's not divided up between nations. It's governed by an international treaty. But with the world increasingly divisive, can Antarctica stay neutral and unclaimed?
February 2024. Antarctica's frozen silence cracked open when a $3.6 million autonomous submarine named RAN vanished beneath the so-called Doomsday Glacier just weeks before it was set to retire. But before it disappeared, it sent back footage that scientists compared to seeing the far side of the moon for the first time.
At the North Pole, it's near the South Pole where some serious scientific action has been taking place.
The camera revealed teardrop-shaped ice giants stretching 1,300 feet long, a blood-red waterfall seeping from an ancient lake, and, most shocking of all, a 90-million-year-old rainforest sealed in ice. So, what exactly did RAN see down there that made researchers go silent? The ice wall myth shattered. The December 2024 viral clip started like a dare gone too far. YouTuber Geran Campanella, a well-known flat earther, spent $37,000 and flew 14,000 kilometers to Antarctica just to prove that the midnight sun was fake. His mission? Catch the 24-hour daylight hoax on camera. But when he finally set foot on the ice, something unexpected happened. After days of filming, standing under a sun that refused to set, he turned to the lens and said quietly, "Sometimes you are wrong in life." I thought there was no 24-hour sun. I honestly now believe there is. That clip exploded across the internet, and suddenly, one of the most persistent myths about Antarctica, the ice wall at the edge of the Earth, began to crack. But what exactly is that ice wall people keep talking about? In reality, it's not some towering barricade hiding secret lands or alien bases. It's a ring of massive floating ice shelves that fringes about 75% of Antarctica's coastline. These shelves are breathtaking, rising between 150 and 200 feet above the sea, with foundations plunging hundreds more below the surface. They form where glaciers meet the ocean, spreading outward like frozen tongues. The Ross ice shelf alone is roughly the size of France. It looks endless, almost otherworldly, but it's pure nature, not a cosmic conspiracy. So how did this get twisted into the ultimate proof of a flat Earth? Partly, it's the visuals. If you only ever see drone shots of white cliffs meeting the Black Sea, it's easy to imagine an icy rim at the planet's edge. Add a few blurred patches on Google Earth, and people start asking, what are they hiding? But those blurred areas aren't proof of secrets. They're just the boring truth of orbital physics. Satellites travel in fixed paths, and Antarctica doesn't have high commercial or residential interest. That means fewer flyovers, lower imaging demand, and, naturally, lower detail. Google's algorithm fills gaps with blurry tiles, not black ops censorship. And then there's the Antarctic Treaty. It sounds mysterious. 50-plus countries agreeing to ban military presence and mining on a continent twice the size of Australia. But the reason is actually environmental protection and science. Signed in 1959, it prevents nations from fighting over the territory or exploiting its resources. Instead, it turns the whole continent into a giant, shared laboratory. Today, more than 56,000 tourists visit Antarctica every year under strict eco-permits. Real humans, scientists, photographers, adventure travelers have walked, skied, and flown across those same forbidden zones flat earthers claim are off-limits. Even the South Pole Station, sitting more than 1,200 kilometers inland, is staffed year-round. Planes land there. Research continues there. The people working there upload videos, eat pizza, and FaceTime families. Hardly the behavior of a shadow government guarding the edge of the world. So where did the secrecy myth begin? A lot of it traces back to Operation High Jump in 1946, one of the largest expeditions ever sent to Antarctica. 4,700 military personnel, 13 ships, and 33 aircraft. For decades, rumors claimed it was a Nazi hunt or a UFO recovery mission. In truth, it was a Cold War logistics test. The US Navy wanted to map 1.5 million square miles and train troops for polar survival. They left behind radar data, film reels, and boring military paperwork, not alien wreckage. Here's the irony. When you strip away the myths, the real story of Antarctica is even wilder. The continent isn't hiding a cosmic border, it's hiding time capsules. Under its ice lie meteorites, fossilized forests, and entire lost ecosystems sealed for tens of millions of years. And remember that submarine from the intro, the one that vanished after capturing the most shocking footage ever. What did it really see under the ice that made scientists stop talking? The vanishing submarine and the alien world beneath picture this, a torpedo-shaped robot gliding through a frozen black ocean, 1,500 feet below solid ice, navigating blind through one of the most hostile places on Earth. Its name was Ran, after the Norse goddess of the sea, and in February 2024, it dove under Antarctica's Thwaites Glacier, the so-called Doomsday Glacier. If this glacier collapses, global sea levels could rise by over 2 feet, enough to redraw coastlines and swallow entire cities. Ran was no toy. It was a $3.6 million autonomous submarine built to survive a mission no human ever could. Over the course of its expedition, it traveled more than 1,000 kilometers beneath the glacier's belly, guided not by GPS or human control, but by algorithms and sonar maps stitched together in real time. Down there, light doesn't exist, only darkness, pressure, and the faint hum of ancient ice grinding above. Then, out of that void, Ran's camera began transmitting something no one expected. Strange, smooth formations appeared, giant teardrops carved into the underside of the glacier, some as long as 1,300 feet. Scientists froze at their screens. Lead researcher Anna Volin from the University of Gothenburg later admitted, "I couldn't stop looking at it. We had no idea it could look like this. It looked more like art." The footage showed a world turned upside down, sand dune-like waves sculpted in ice, swirls and ridges shaped by ocean currents, and vast hollows painted in blue and silver reflections. It didn't look like any place on Earth. It looked alien. One researcher described it as discovering the far side of the moon. But just as the team prepared to bring Ran home for its final retirement dive, everything went silent. The signal froze mid-transmission. Then, nothing. No distress ping, no return beacon. The submarine simply vanished. For days, search crews used helicopters and drones to scan the surface, hoping to spot debris. But there was none. Some believe Ran got trapped beneath an overhanging section of ice that closed in around it as the glacier shifted. Others think a sudden collapse sealed it into a labyrinth of channels that no machine could escape. Either way, it was gone, swallowed by the very world it was trying to understand. Still, before disappearing, Ran's sensors completed one final upload. That data confirmed that the glacier's underside wasn't smooth like most models assumed. It was chaotic and carved by strong, swirling currents. Those teardrop formations were proof that warm ocean water, pushed by the Coriolis effect, was tunneling deeper into the ice than anyone thought possible. This meant that the Thwaites Glacier could melt faster than all previous predictions, throwing sea level rise estimates into chaos. And Ran wasn't alone in rewriting science. Earlier missions across the Dotson ice shelf between 2022 and 2024 revealed similar patterns: mysterious lines, grooves, and circular depressions on the seafloor, unlike anything ever recorded. Scientists suddenly realized they'd been underestimating how the ocean sculpts ice from below. those melting maps that had guided climate models for decades, they just got thrown out the window. In October 2025, the replacement sub, RAN II, was announced. A sleeker, smarter descendant, armed with next-gen sensors and AI pathfinding, set to return to Thwaites to finish what its predecessor started. But many researchers admit there's a quiet dread beneath the excitement. Because if the last mission uncovered an alien-looking world under the ice, what else might be waiting there, still untouched, still unseen? And that brings us to the question everyone's been whispering since RAN disappeared. What if the thing that took it wasn't ice at all? The Frozen Time Capsule, 90 Million Years of Secrets, April 2020. Deep beneath Antarctica's Pine Island Glacier, scientists pulled up a chunk of history nobody expected. Sediment cores filled with fossilized roots, spores, and pollen so perfectly preserved you could still see individual cell walls under the microscope. The data didn't lie. This wasn't just dirt. It was the remains of a rainforest that had thrived right here at the South Pole 90 million years ago. And get this, it wasn't some chilly, moss-covered tundra. It was warm, swampy, and alive with vegetation. Towering conifers, ferns, and flowering plants blanketed the landscape. The air was thick with humidity. Rivers meandered through dense forests, while dinosaurs stomped through the undergrowth. Even though this region endured 4 months of total darkness each year, global temperatures were high enough to keep the forests thriving. So how could the South Pole, now the coldest place on Earth, have once looked like the Amazon? The answer lies in greenhouse gases. Back in the Cretaceous period, carbon dioxide levels were 3 to 4 times higher than today, trapping heat across the planet. Antarctica, then part of the supercontinent Gondwana, sat further north and received enough sunlight during summer to sustain lush vegetation year-round. Scientists from Imperial College London said studying this rainforest gives a glimpse of what Earth could look like if current warming trends continue. And that's a reality check kind of discovery. Then, in November 2024, another bombshell dropped. Researchers discovered the first ever piece of amber from Antarctica, a golden, translucent fossil the size of a thumbnail. Inside, under layers of ancient resin, lay microscopic traces of the same prehistoric ecosystem, fragments of moss, fungal spores, and what might be insect remains. Until this find, Antarctica was the only continent where amber had never been found. Now, it's not just a footnote, it's the missing piece of a global puzzle, one that could hold DNA-level secrets of a world long vanished. But nature wasn't done revealing her receipts. In October 2023, scientists from Durham and Northumbria universities used ice-penetrating radar to uncover something colossal, a hidden landscape the size of Maryland, buried under a mile of East Antarctic ice. They described it as a frozen time capsule. Imagine vast valleys 25 miles wide and nearly 4,000 feet deep, carved by ancient rivers, separated by ridges stretching for over 100 miles. What's mind-blowing is how well preserved it is. Most glaciers grind and crush everything beneath them, but here the ice moves so slowly that it has protected the terrain for 34 million years. It's as if the continent hit pause on an entire world and never pressed play again. By July 2025, radar scans confirmed more clues. Networks of ancient river systems that once snaked across the continent up to 80 million years ago. Scientists believe these rivers fed into vast basins where rainforests flourished, forming ecosystems that could rewrite our entire understanding of polar evolution. The implications are massive. It proves Antarctica wasn't always an empty sheet of ice. It was once a thriving biosphere. So, what does all this mean for us now? Well, every time scientists drill a little deeper or scan a little further, they find more evidence that Earth can transform far faster and more dramatically than anyone imagined. The same carbon levels that once turned Antarctica into a tropical paradise are rising again today. But here's where things start to get strange, because not everything scientists are finding under the ice belongs to this world. Some recent discoveries are so unexplainable that even NASA got involved. What exactly did they find sealed beneath the Antarctic ice that could rewrite the story of human history itself? Blood falls and the living lakes that vanish. A 5-story waterfall gushes out of Antarctica's Taylor Glacier, but it's not white or blue or even clear. It's red, blood red. From a distance, it looks like the glacier is bleeding straight into the frozen Lake Bonny below. The thing is, this isn't a horror movie shot or a viral CGI fake. It's real. Discovered in 1911, Blood Falls remained one of Antarctica's greatest mysteries for over a century. The water flows clear from deep inside the glacier, but the moment it hits air, it turns crimson, painting the ice like a wound in the earth. For decades, scientists had no idea what caused it. No volcanoes nearby, no pollution, no iron mines, just an endless white desert and one crimson scar that never froze, even at negative 17 degrees Celsius. Then, between 2018 and 2023, research teams finally cracked the code. They found that Blood Falls wasn't just surface runoff, it was the outflow of an ancient subglacial lake sealed beneath nearly 400 meters of solid ice. That lake had been trapped in total darkness for at least 1.5 million years. Here's the wild part. The water inside is twice as salty as seawater, loaded with tiny iron-rich particles called nanospheres. When this water, thick with iron, meets oxygen, it instantly rusts, turning blood red right before your eyes. But that's not even the most unbelievable part. Inside that lake are microbes, alive, living in pitch-black, high-pressure salt water with no sunlight, no oxygen, and no contact with the outside world. They've evolved in complete isolation, forming a hidden ecosystem that's been sealed off since before modern humans even existed. Now, jump to September 2025. 10 years of satellite data revealed something even more mind-blowing. Antarctica isn't just sitting on 1 or 2 hidden lakes. It's floating above 231 of them. 85 of these were newly discovered active subglacial lakes that drain and refill like beating hearts beneath the ice. Scientists actually watched 12 of them go through full fill and drain cycles, each time shifting the ice above by meters. These underground floods act like hydraulic lifts, lubricating the base of the ice sheet and sending entire sections sliding faster toward the ocean. That means every pulse of these hidden lakes could be raising global sea levels in real time. And then there's Lake Vostok, the largest of them all. It's the size of Lake Ontario, buried under 2.4 miles of ice, untouched for 15 million years. The pressure down there is crushing, yet it holds more than 5,400 cubic kilometers of water, enough to overflow the Grand Canyon. Some researchers believe it has oxygen levels 50 times higher than any ocean and possible geothermal vents on its floor, just like the deep-sea chimneys that sustain alien-like life in the Pacific. In 2023, scientists finally drilled deep enough to extract the first-ever layered sediment sample. Each layer could hold trapped gases, ancient DNA, or chemical traces from a world that hasn't seen light since mammoths roamed the north. It's hard not to wonder, if an entire living ecosystem could survive for millions of years sealed in ice, what else could be down there? Still waiting. The collapse. Drones. Witness the Doomsday scenario. February 6th, 2020. Antarctica, our planet's freezer, hit a shocking 18.3 degrees Celsius. That's 64.9 degrees Fahrenheit. Warmer than Los Angeles that day. A 9-day heatwave melted a fifth of Eagle Island's snowpack almost overnight. NASA satellites watched it vanish, pond by pond, like a time-lapse of the world thawing too fast. Glaciologist Maury Pelto said it best. "I haven't seen melt ponds develop this quickly in Antarctica. You see these in Alaska and Greenland, but not here. Fast forward 5 years, and the story gets even more surreal. Because now, drones are flying where humans barely can. The British Antarctic Survey rolled out the Windracer's Ultra, a monster drone that can fly 620 miles while hauling 220 pounds of equipment, and it burns 90% less fuel than traditional planes. 10 barrels instead of 200. It maps ice thickness, tracks penguin colonies, and even surveys climate-sensitive zones, all without risking a pilot's life. Norway's Norse Research Centre already bought 2 for the 2026 and 2027 seasons. But don't get excited about sending your own drone down there. IAATO, the agency that governs tourism in Antarctica, has banned recreational drones completely. They scare wildlife, spread microplastics, and can crash into nesting zones. So those viral Antarctica drone footage, clips, 99% are fakes. Real footage only comes from approved science missions, and that's exactly what makes the genuine stuff so terrifying. Because in September 2025, new data hit the world like a gut punch. Scientists now say 60% of Antarctic ice shelves will reach an unsustainable state by 2085, decades earlier than we thought. And that's not a slow fade. When these shelves go, they don't melt politely, they collapse. Just like the Conga Glenza shelf in 2022, which disintegrated in only 9 days. One moment it was stable, the next gone. That event shattered the myth that East Antarctica was safe. And here's the part that's easy to miss, but impossible to ignore. Ice shelves don't directly raise sea levels, they're already floating. What they do is hold back the glaciers behind them, like a wall keeping a flood at bay. When that wall breaks, the flood doesn't wait. Thwaites Glacier alone could raise sea levels over 2 feet. The entire West Antarctic ice sheet, 10 feet or more, over centuries. So, when the next drone flies over the Doomsday Glacier and sees the cracks spreading wider each month, what happens when that final piece breaks? And more importantly, what will be left standing when it does? And maybe that's what's really terrifying. Not the ice melting, not the storms, not even the drones vanishing, but what they almost showed us before the feed cut out. Because if Antarctica is breaking records for heat, if sea levels are rising faster than projections, and if restricted drones keep being grounded without reason, then what are we not supposed to see out there? What's buried beneath that endless white? Like, would you fly past the ice wall if you could? What do you think is hiding beyond it? And who's trying to keep it secret? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if this story blew your mind, and make sure to subscribe for more amazing videos.